The red sun of Kepler 442b hung low in the alien sky as Marine Sergeant Jake Thompson crouched behind a purple rock formation. His squad had been on this planet for 3 days and everything felt wrong. The air tasted like metal, the gravity was too light, and the plants looked like they were made of glass. "Sergeant, I'm getting readings 2 clicks north," whispered Corporal Lisa Martinez through the comm. She was their tech expert, always the first to spot trouble with her scanners. "Something big is moving our way." Jake checked his rifle and looked at his team. Private Danny Clark was nervous, his hands shaking slightly as he held his weapon. The kid was new to off-world missions. Dr. Amy Rodriguez, their medic, stayed calm as always. She had seen enough action to keep her cool in any situation. "Stay sharp, people," Jake said quietly. "We're here to make contact, not start a war." The mission was simple in theory. Earth's government wanted to establish peaceful relations with any intelligent life they found. Jake's team was supposed to be the friendly face of humanity. They carried weapons only for protection, and their orders were clear. Try to talk first, shoot only if attacked. The ground began to vibrate. Through his binoculars, Jake saw them coming. The aliens moved like liquid crystal, their bodies shifting and flowing as they walked. They were tall, maybe 8 feet, and their skin looked like living diamonds, beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "Holy cow," Danny whispered. "They're gorgeous." There were 12 of them, moving in perfect formation. They carried weapons that looked like they were grown instead of built, curved and organic. Jake had never seen anything like them in all his years of military service. "Remember, we try to talk first," Jake told his team. He stood up slowly, keeping his rifle pointed down. The aliens stopped when they saw him. For a moment, nobody moved. The leader of the aliens stepped forward. When it spoke, a device on its chest translated the words into English. "You are the humans from the blue world." Jake nodded. "That's right. I'm Sergeant Jake Thompson, United Earth Marine Corps. We come in peace." The alien's crystal body changed colors, flowing from clear to pale blue. "I am War Commander Zethak of the Zephyrian Empire. Your species is unknown to us. You carry weapons of war to a peaceful meeting." "Standard protection only," Jake replied, trying to keep his voice calm. "We're explorers, not invaders." The alien commander seemed to consider this. Its body shifted to yellow, then back to blue. "Show us your weapons. Prove they are not meant for conquest." Jake hesitated. Every instinct told him this was a trap, but his orders were to establish contact. Slowly, he lifted his rifle and opened the chamber to show it was loaded. The moment the alien saw the bullets, everything changed. The commander's body flashed bright red and it shouted something in its own language. The other aliens raised their weapons instantly. "Kinetic projectiles," the commander screamed through its translator. "You carry the weapons of barbarians." "Wait," Jake shouted, but it was too late. The aliens opened fire. Their weapons shot beams of superheated plasma that turned rocks to glass and metal to vapor. Jake dove for cover as purple energy bolts flew past his head. "Return fire," he yelled to his team. The battle was chaos. Danny's rifle cracked as he shot at the aliens from behind a crystal tree. Lisa used her scanner to track enemy movements while firing her sidearm. Amy stayed low, ready to help anyone who got hurt. Jake moved from cover to cover, trying to get a clear shot at the alien commander. These beings were fast, flowing across the battlefield like water. Their weapons were deadly accurate, melting everything they hit. A plasma bolt struck the rock next to Jake's head, showering him with hot fragments. He rolled to new cover and came up shooting. His bullets seemed to hurt the aliens, cracking their crystal skin and making them stumble. "Their armor isn't perfect," he called to his team. "Aim for center mass." The fight continued for several minutes. Jake's team was outnumbered but not outgunned. Human weapons might be primitive, but they worked. 3 aliens went down under concentrated rifle fire. Then Jake made a mistake. He stepped out too far from cover, trying to get an angle on the enemy commander. A plasma beam caught him square in the left shoulder. The pain was beyond anything he had ever felt. The energy beam burned through his combat armor like it was paper and into his flesh. The smell of burned meat filled his nose. Jake screamed and fell to his knees, but he didn't die. The plasma bolt should have vaporized his entire torso. Instead, it burned a hole through his shoulder and stopped. Jake looked down at the wound in shock. He could see daylight through the hole, but he was still alive. The alien saw it too. The commander stopped shooting and stared. Its crystal body went completely clear, which Jake somehow knew meant it was afraid. "Impossible," the commander whispered through its translator. No flesh survives the fire of stars. Jake forced himself to stand up. His shoulder felt like it was full of molten metal, but he could still move his arm. The wound was already starting to close at the edges, his body working to heal itself. The other aliens backed away in terror. They had never seen anything like this. In their experience, plasma weapons killed everything they touched. Nothing survived the fire of stars. Fall back, the commander ordered in its own language. Report to the Queen immediately. The aliens retreated, flowing across the landscape like scared water. They left their 3 dead behind, something that seemed to go against their nature. Jake's team watched them disappear into the alien forest. Sarge, you okay? Danny asked, running over to check on his squad leader. Jake looked down at his shoulder. The hole was smaller now, his body already working to repair the damage. In a few hours, it would probably be just a scar. I'm fine, kid, Jake said, though he wasn't sure he believed it himself. Amy, what just happened to me? Dr. Rodriguez examined the wound with her medical scanner. Her face was confused and worried. I don't know, Jake. By all rights, you should be dead. That plasma beam hit you with enough energy to cook a cow, but your body is healing like nothing I've ever seen. Jake touched the wound gently. It hurt, but not as much as it should have. His body was doing something impossible, something the aliens had never encountered before. Whatever just happened, he said to his team. I don't think this is over. Those aliens were scared, really scared, and I have a feeling we're going to see them again real soon. The red sun continued to set over the alien landscape as Jake's team prepared for whatever came next. None of them knew that this single moment, this impossible wound, would change the fate of the entire galaxy. 3 days had passed since the fight with the crystal aliens. Jake's shoulder was almost completely healed, leaving only a faint mark where the plasma beam had burned through him. His team had set up a defensive camp in a cave system, waiting for rescue or reinforcements from Earth. The attack came at dawn. Jake woke to the sound of Lisa's scanner beeping frantically. Incoming! She shouted. Lots of them! Through the cave entrance, Jake could see the aliens approaching. There were at least 50 of them this time, moving in organized groups. These weren't the same warriors they had fought before. These aliens wore different armor and carried larger weapons. Surrender, humans, called a voice through a translator. Resistance will result in immediate termination. Jake looked at his team. They had maybe 100 rounds of ammunition left between them. Danny was trying to look brave, but fear showed in his eyes. Amy was checking her medical supplies one more time. Lisa was monitoring alien communications on her scanner. What do you think, Sarge? Danny asked. We going out fighting? Jake considered their options. They were outnumbered 20-1, low on ammunition, and had no way to call for help. But something told him these aliens didn't want them dead. If they did, they would have just bombarded the cave. We surrender, Jake called out. Don't shoot. The aliens moved in carefully, their weapons trained on the humans. Jake and his team dropped their rifles and walked out with their hands up. The lead alien was different from the others, with golden veins running through its crystal body. I am Captain Morthak, it said through its translator. You are prisoners of the Zephyrian Empire. You will be taken to our queen for examination. They were loaded onto an alien transport that looked like it was grown rather than built. The inside was all smooth curves and soft lighting. Jake noticed there were no restraints or cells. Either the aliens were very confident, or they didn't understand how dangerous humans could be. The flight took several hours. Through the transparent walls, Jake could see alien cities that looked like gardens made of crystal and light. Everything was beautiful and perfectly organized. No waste, no pollution, no chaos. It was like looking at a fairy tale. Their whole world is perfect, Amy whispered. How is that possible? Lisa was studying her scanner readings. Their technology is incredible. Energy sources I can't even identify. They've had thousands of years to perfect everything. The transport landed at what could only be a palace. Towers of living crystal reached into the clouds, connected by bridges that seemed to be made of solid light. Guards in ceremonial armor escorted Jake's team through corridors lined with art that moved and changed as they watched. They were brought to a vast throne room with a ceiling that showed the stars in real time. At the center, on a throne that looked like it was carved from a single massive diamond, sat the most beautiful being Jake had ever seen. Queen Veltara was twice the size of the other aliens, her crystal body shifting through every color of the rainbow. Patterns of light flowed through her like a living aurora. When she moved, the air itself seemed to sing with musical notes. So these are the humans, she said. her voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. The impossible beings who survived the fire of stars. Standing beside the throne was another alien, this one with purple veins through its crystal body, and wearing what looked like scientific equipment. "My queen, I am Prime Scholar Kethion. I must examine these creatures to understand what we witnessed." Queen Veltara rose from her throne and approached Jake's team. She moved like flowing water, graceful and hypnotic. Her attention focused on Jake, and her crystal eyes studied him with intense curiosity. "Show me," she commanded. Jake didn't understand at first. The queen gestured to his shoulder, and he realized what she wanted. Slowly, he pulled aside his torn uniform to reveal the place where the plasma beam had hit him. The queen's reaction was immediate and terrifying. Her entire body flashed brilliant white, so bright that Jake had to shield his eyes. When the light faded, she was staring at his shoulder with an expression that needed no translation. "This can't be real," she whispered. Prime Scholar Kethion moved closer with his scanning equipment. The devices hummed and clicked as they examined Jake's shoulder. "My queen, the readings are consistent with our warriors' reports. This human was struck by a full-power plasma beam 3 days ago. And yet he lives," the queen said, her voice filled with something Jake had never heard from an alien before. Fear. The queen began to pace, her crystal body shifting through angry reds and worried blues. "In 50,000 years of conquest across 847 worlds, we have never encountered this. Every species we have met dies to our plasma weapons. Every single one," Jake found his voice. "Maybe your weapons aren't as perfect as you thought." The queen spun to face him, her body flashing dangerous colors. "Our plasma weapons generate temperatures of 15,000 degrees. They can melt through battle armor, vaporize solid rock, and reduce living flesh to atoms in milliseconds. Nothing survives them." "Nothing." Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward carefully. "Your Majesty, if I may explain. Human biology is different from other species you might have encountered. We evolved on a very dangerous world." Prime Scholar Kethion activated a holographic display showing medical scans of Jake's body. "Explain these readings, human doctor." "This male's cellular structure shows signs of rapid healing that should be impossible." Amy looked at the scans with professional interest. "That's normal for us. Humans heal from injuries that would kill most creatures. We've survived ice ages, plagues, predators, and wars for thousands of years. Our bodies learn to repair themselves." The queen's body went completely clear, the color draining from her crystal form. "You mean all humans can do this? Survive what should kill them?" "To different degrees," Amy replied. "Some heal faster than others, but yes, we're very hard to kill permanently." The throne room fell silent. Jake could hear the alien guard shifting nervously. The queen stared at his shoulder for a long time, her body cycling slowly through different colors. Finally, she spoke again. "Prime Scholar Kethion, run full medical scans on all the humans. I want to know everything about their biology, how they heal, how they fight, how they think." "Yes, my queen," the scholar replied. The queen turned back to Jake. "Tell me, human sergeant, what other impossible things can your species do?" Jake thought about his training, about human history, about all the wars and disasters his people had survived. He looked the queen in her crystal eyes and smiled. "Your Majesty, you really don't want to find out." The queen's body flashed white again, and Jake realized he had just said the worst possible thing. For the first time in her long life, Queen Veltara was beginning to understand that her empire had encountered something truly dangerous, something that wouldn't stay down when you tried to kill it. The guards led Jake's team to holding cells that looked more like hotel rooms than prisons. As they walked away, Jake could hear the queen and her scholar talking in urgent tones. He caught a few words through the translator: impossible, dangerous, and threat to the empire. Jake touched his healing shoulder and wondered what would happen next. He had a feeling things were about to get very interesting for both species. The holding cells were more comfortable than any prison Jake had ever seen. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that provided soft, warm light. The beds felt like clouds, and the food appeared automatically 3 times a day. But they were still prisoners, and Jake could see guards outside their transparent doors. Dr. Amy Rodriguez had been taken away for questioning 2 hours ago. When she returned, her face was pale and worried. "They want to understand everything about human biology," she told the others. "Prime Scholar Kethion has been asking questions I never thought I'd hear. How do we survive injuries? How do our immune systems work? Why don't we die from things that kill other species? Jake was doing push-ups in his cell, partly to stay in shape and partly because he was bored. What did you tell him? The truth. That humans are tough because Earth is a dangerous place. But Jake, I don't think he understood what that means. These aliens have never faced real danger. Their whole civilization is built on being the strongest thing in the galaxy. Lisa looked up from her scanner, which the aliens had returned to her after removing its weapons systems. I've been listening to their communications. The news about us is spreading through their empire. Some of the alien races they've conquered are asking questions. What kind of questions? Danny asked. The dangerous kind. They're wondering if the Zephyrians can really be beaten. Before anyone could respond, guards arrived to escort Jake to another examination. He was taken to a medical facility that looked like something from a science fiction movie. Prime Scholar Keithion was waiting with equipment Jake couldn't begin to understand. Sergeant Thompson, please remove your upper garments, the scholar said through his translator. I wish to observe your healing process directly. Jake stripped off his uniform shirt. His shoulder looked almost normal now, just a faint mark where the plasma beam had burned through him. The alien scholar scanned it with various devices, taking readings that made him more agitated with each passing minute. This is scientifically impossible, Keithion muttered. Plasma at that temperature should have destroyed not just the flesh but the underlying bone structure. Your shoulder should be a cavity filled with carbon ash. Sorry to disappoint you, Jake replied. The scholar activated a holographic display showing Jake's body in detail. Your cellular regeneration rate is 40 times faster than any species in our records. Your immune system adapts to threats in real time. Your muscle density is twice what should be possible for a being of your size. Jake studied the display with interest. Huh, I never knew I was that impressive. You do not understand, the scholar said, his crystal body flickering with anxiety. In our empire's history, we have conquered 847 worlds. We have detailed biological records of 2,341 intelligent species. None of them possess these capabilities. None of them. A new voice entered the conversation. That is because none of them came from a world like Earth. Jake turned to see Queen Veltara entering the medical facility. Her crystal body was cycling through deep blues and purples. Colors Jake was learning meant she was thinking hard about something. My queen, the scholar bowed. The human's biology continues to defy explanation. The queen approached Jake's examination table. Tell me about your world, human. What made your species so resistant to death? Jake thought about how to explain Earth to someone who had never known danger. Your Majesty, Earth is what we call a deathworld. Almost everything on it is trying to kill everything else. The queen's colors shifted to confused yellows. Explain this concept. Jake sat up on the examination table. Well, we have predators that hunt in packs and can tear you apart. We have diseases that kill millions. We have storms that can level cities, earthquakes that split the ground open, and volcanoes that block out the sun. Surely you have technology to control these things, the queen said. For some of them, yes, but Earth doesn't make it easy. We have poisonous plants, venomous animals, parasites that eat you from the inside, and weather that can freeze or cook you depending on the season. Prime Scholar Keithion was taking notes frantically. How does your species survive in such an environment? Jake grinned. We adapt. We get stronger. We never give up. Humans are persistence hunters, Your Majesty. We might not be the fastest or strongest, but we never stop coming. The queen's body went very still. Explain persistence hunting. It's simple. You pick a target and you follow it. Maybe it's faster than you. Maybe it's stronger. Doesn't matter. You keep following it day after day until it gets tired, until it makes a mistake, until it can't run anymore. Then you win. The silence in the medical facility was complete. Jake could see both aliens processing what he had said, and he could see the moment when they understood the implications. Your species hunts things stronger than itself? The queen asked quietly. All the time. That's how we became the dominant species on Earth. Everything else was bigger, faster, or had better weapons. So we learned to outlast them. The queen's body flashed through a rainbow of colors settling on deep red. Prime Scholar, what are the implications of this information? Keithion was studying his readings with obvious distress. My queen, if this human's biology is representative of his species, then humans are not just difficult to kill. They are virtually impossible to eliminate. They heal from injuries that would permanently cripple other species. Their immune systems adapt to toxins in real time. Their psychological profile suggests they become more dangerous when threatened. Jake noticed movement outside the medical facility, through the crystal walls. He could see alien guards in heated discussion. Some of them kept looking in his direction with expressions he was learning to recognize as fear. "Your Majesty," Jake said carefully. "Is there something going on out there?" The Queen's colors shifted to worried blues. "Word of your abilities has spread throughout our empire. 3 of our vassal species have declared independence in the past day. They believe that if humans can resist our weapons, then perhaps they can too." "Can they?" Jake asked. "No," the Queen replied simply. "But they do not know that. For 50,000 years, the Zephyrian Empire has maintained order, through the certainty of our military superiority. Your existence has introduced doubt into that certainty." Jake was beginning to understand the bigger picture. "Your empire is built on fear." "Effective fear," the Queen corrected. "Fear of consequences too terrible to contemplate." "But what do you do when you encounter a species that survives those consequences and keeps fighting?" Before Jake could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the facility. The Queen's body flashed bright yellow as she received some kind of communication. "The Korthax system has declared full rebellion," she announced. "They are demanding that humans be sent to lead their resistance movement." Prime Scholar Kethion was scanning Jake with increasing urgency. "My Queen, I must complete my analysis. If this human's capabilities can be replicated—" "They can't," Jake interrupted. "You can't make someone human, Scholar. We are what we are because of millions of years of evolution on a world that tried to kill us every single day." The Queen stared at him for a long moment. "You are saying that your strength comes from surviving weakness." Jake nodded. "Every human alive today is descended from survivors. Our ancestors lived through ice ages, plagues, natural disasters, and wars. The ones who couldn't adapt died out. What you see in me is the result of millions of years of Earth trying to kill my species and failing." The alarm sounds were getting louder. More alien guards were running through the corridors outside. Jake could see panic in their movements. "Your Majesty," he said, "I think we need to talk. Not as prisoner and captor, but as leaders of our people. Because this situation is about to get much bigger than just me and my team." Queen Veltara's crystal body cycled through every color of the spectrum before settling on deep purple. "Indeed, Sergeant Thompson. I believe we have much to discuss." As she spoke, Jake could hear explosions in the distance. The rebellion was spreading, and it was spreading fast. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when an unstoppable force met an immovable object. And Jake had the uncomfortable feeling that humanity was both. The explosions were getting closer. Jake could feel them through the crystal walls of the medical facility. Queen Veltara's body was flashing between angry reds and worried purples as reports came in from across her empire. 17 systems in open rebellion, Prime Scholar Kethion reported. His voice strained. "The Andromedans have destroyed 3 of our supply stations. The Centauri Coalition has declared the Zephyrian Empire illegal. Even the peaceful Deltans are demanding representation in galactic government." Jake watched the chaos unfold with growing concern. This wasn't what he had wanted. His mission was to make peaceful contact, not start a galactic civil war. "Your Majesty," he said, "maybe we should let my team go. Send us back to Earth. This will all calm down once we're gone." The Queen's laugh sounded like breaking glass. "You truly do not understand, do you, human? It is not your presence that threatens us. It is your existence. The knowledge that there is a species that can survive our weapons has shattered 50,000 years of assumed superiority." Another explosion. Much closer this time. Guards were running past the medical facility, carrying weapons Jake had never seen before. The Queen's palace was turning into a fortress. "My Queen," Kethion said urgently, "perhaps we should consider the humans' suggestion. If we release them and send a message of peace to Earth—" "It is too late for that," the Queen replied. "Our military commanders are calling for the complete destruction of the human homeworld. They believe it is the only way to restore order." Jake felt cold fear in his stomach. "They want to destroy Earth?" "General Vextar commands our battle fleet. He believes that making an example of humanity will convince the rebels that resistance is futile." The Queen's colors shifted to deep blues. "I am not certain he is wrong." Jake stood up from the examination table, ignoring the medical equipment still attached to him. "Your Majesty, you can't let that happen. Earth has 9 billion people. Most of them don't even know aliens exist. I am aware of the numbers, Sergeant Thompson, but I am also aware that my empire is dissolving. In the past 6 hours, 43 worlds have declared independence. My military is demanding action. The medical facility's doors burst open and Jake's team was escorted in by nervous guards. Lisa was clutching her scanner, Danny looked scared but determined, and Amy had her medical bag ready for whatever came next. "Sarge," Danny called out. "What's happening out there?" "The whole palace is in chaos." Jake quickly filled them in on the situation. Lisa immediately started scanning with her equipment while Amy began checking Jake for injuries from his examination. "This is bad," Lisa said, studying her readings. "I'm detecting massive energy buildups throughout the system. They're preparing for war on a scale I've never seen." Queen Veltara approached Jake's team, her crystal body reflecting the lights from Lisa's scanner. "Your technology is primitive but efficient. Like yourselves." "Thank you?" Amy replied uncertainly. It was not entirely a compliment. "Your species represents something new in galactic politics. For 50 millennia, conquest has meant the subjugation or extinction of the conquered, but you cannot be easily killed and you will not stay subjugated." Jake was thinking fast. "Your Majesty, what if there was another way? What if instead of trying to destroy us or rule us, we work together?" The Queen's body flashed with confused yellows. "Explain this concept." "Earth has a long history of former enemies becoming allies. Countries that fought terrible wars learned to cooperate for mutual benefit. Maybe humans and Zephyrians could do the same thing." Prime Scholar Kethion was monitoring communications on his equipment. "My Queen, General Vextar is requesting permission to launch a preemptive strike on the human homeworld. He has mobilized the 3rd Battle Fleet." The Queen's colors darkened to angry purples. "Tell the General that no action will be taken without my direct orders." "Yes, my Queen. But I should mention that Admiral Zor Khan of the 5th Fleet has already departed for human space. He claims to be acting on ancient military protocols." Jake felt his heart stop. "How long until he reaches Earth?" The scholar consulted his readings. "At maximum speed, approximately 14 of your standard days. We have to warn them," Jake said to his team. "Earth has no defenses against weapons like these." Lisa was working frantically with her scanner. "I might be able to send a message through the quantum communication array I detected in this facility. But I'd need access to their systems." Queen Veltara watched the humans with fascination. "Even facing the destruction of your homeworld, you think of ways to fight back. This confirms everything our medical scans revealed about your species." "What do you mean?" Amy asked. "Humans become more dangerous when threatened. Most species become more cooperative when faced with extinction. You plan resistance." The Queen's body cycled through thoughtful colors. "It is both admirable and terrifying." Another series of explosions rocked the palace. This time Jake could see fires burning in the alien city beyond the crystal walls. The rebellion was spreading to the Queen's own world. "My Queen." A new alien burst into the medical facility. This one wore military armor and carried advanced weapons. "Captain Morthak reporting. Rebel forces have breached the outer defenses. They are demanding the release of the humans." Jake blinked in surprise. "They're fighting to free us?" "You have become a symbol, Sergeant Thompson. Proof that the Zephyrian Empire is not invincible. 17 different species are fighting under the banner of human resistance, even though most of them have never seen a human before." The Queen was quiet for a long moment, her crystal body cycling through every color in the spectrum. When she spoke again, her voice was thoughtful and sad. "I have ruled this empire for 3,000 years. I have seen the rise and fall of civilizations, the birth and death of stars, but I have never encountered a problem like humanity." Jake stepped closer to the Queen, ignoring the weapons trained on him by her guards. "Your Majesty, it doesn't have to be a problem. Humans are good at solving problems together. We could help you." "Help me do what?" "Rebuild an empire that is already crumbling. Help you build something better, something that doesn't need fear to hold it together." The Queen stared at Jake for a long time. Around them, the sounds of battle were getting closer. Her empire was falling apart. Her military was preparing for genocide, and her people were losing faith in everything they had believed for 50,000 years. "What exactly are you proposing, human?" Jake looked at his team, then back at the Queen. "I'm proposing we stop this war before it starts. I'm proposing we show the galaxy that there's a better way than conquest or destruction. And how do you suggest we do that?" Jake smiled, and for the first time since his capture, he felt hopeful. "Your Majesty, I think it's time you met some more humans. Real diplomats, not just soldiers. People who can show you what cooperation looks like instead of just talking about it." The Queen's body flashed bright white, then settled into curious golds. You believe your people would negotiate with us? Even after we captured you and threatened your homeworld? That's exactly why they'll negotiate. Humans don't give up, Your Majesty. Even when things look hopeless, we find a way forward. Captain Morthak interrupted with an urgent report. My Queen, General Vextar, is demanding an immediate audience. He says the time for negotiation has passed. Jake could see the decision point approaching. Everything that happened next would determine the fate of not just humanity, but every species in the galaxy. The Queen looked at Jake one more time, her crystal eyes reflecting depths of thought that had accumulated over millennia of rule. Very well, Sergeant Thompson. Let us see if your species can do the impossible once again. Let us see if humans can prevent a war instead of just surviving one. As if summoned by her words, the medical facility's doors burst open again and General Vextar himself strode in, flanked by heavily armed soldiers. Jake took one look at the general's massive form and glowing weapons and realized that the easy part was over. Now came the real test of human diplomacy. General Vextar was the largest alien Jake had ever seen. His crystal body was dark red with veins of black running through it, and he carried weapons that looked like they could level buildings. When he spoke, his translator made his voice sound like grinding stone. My Queen, these humans have brought chaos to our empire. The only solution is their complete elimination, starting with their homeworld. Queen Veltara's body flashed warning colors. General, you will not act without my direct orders. That has been our law for 50,000 years. Laws change when empires fall, my Queen. Admiral Zorkon is already en route to the human system. The Third Battle Fleet stands ready to follow. We will end this threat before it spreads further. Jake stepped forward despite the weapons pointed at him. General, destroying Earth won't solve your problems. It will make them worse. The general's attention focused on Jake like a weapon sight. The human speaks. Tell me, creature, how many of your kind would die to save one world? All of them, if necessary, Jake replied without hesitation. But that's not what I'm talking about. Destroying Earth will prove to every species in the galaxy that the Zephyrian Empire rules through genocide. How long do you think your empire will last after that? Long enough, the general growled. Fear of extinction is the strongest motivator in the universe. Dr. Amy Rodriguez moved to stand beside Jake. Actually, General, you're wrong about that. The strongest motivator is hope, and you've just given hope to every species that ever wanted to be free. Lisa was monitoring communications on her scanner. Sarge, I'm picking up transmissions from across the galaxy. The news about Admiral Zorkon's fleet is spreading. 57 systems have now declared independence. General Vextar's crystal body grew darker. Then we will destroy them all. The Empire will survive even if we must rebuild it from ashes. No. The voice was quiet but carried absolute authority. Queen Veltara had made her decision. General, I am ordering you to recall Admiral Zorkon's fleet immediately. My Queen, I cannot do that. The Admiral is operating under Protocol 7, which gives him independent command authority during existential threats to the Empire. Jake saw the Queen's body flash with anger. I created Protocol 7, General, and I am canceling it. Too late, Your Majesty. Admiral Zorkon has already entered the human system. He will reach their homeworld in 6 hours. The medical facility fell silent except for the distant sounds of battle in the city. Jake felt the weight of 9 billion lives pressing down on him. Everything they had worked for, everything they had hoped to achieve, was about to be destroyed by one alien's fear. There has to be a way to stop this, he said. Prime Scholar Kethion looked up from his equipment. There is one possibility. If we could establish direct communication with Admiral Zorkon, the Queen could order him to stand down. The Admiral will not accept orders that contradict his mission parameters, General Vextar stated. He believes he is saving the Empire. Jake had an idea, but it was dangerous. What if the orders came from someone he wasn't expecting? Someone who could prove that humans aren't the threat he thinks we are? Explain, the Queen commanded. Jake looked at his team, then back at the assembled aliens. Let me talk to him. Let me show him that humans want peace, not war. General Vextar laughed, a sound like breaking crystal. The Admiral will kill you the moment he sees you, human. Maybe, but maybe not. Your Admiral has never actually met a human before, has he? He's acting on fear of the unknown. What if I could show him that we're not monsters? Queen Veltara was cycling through thoughtful colors. It is possible that direct contact might change his perspective. But the risk is worth it, Jake interrupted. Your Majesty, If Admiral Zorkan destroys Earth, the war that follows will make this rebellion look like a minor disagreement. Humans don't forgive genocide. We don't forget. We never stop coming. The Queen's body went very still. You are threatening me, Sergeant Thompson. I'm warning you. There are human colonies in 7 other star systems, military bases, research stations, exploration ships. If Earth dies, they'll know who killed it, and they'll spend the rest of their lives making sure everyone else knows too. Danny Clark had been quiet through most of the discussion, but now he spoke up. Sarge is right. Humans wrote the book on guerrilla warfare. You kill our homeworld, and you'll be fighting human insurgents for the next 1,000 years. General Vexitar was studying Jake with new interest. You would continue fighting even if your species faced extinction? That's what humans do, General. We survived ice ages, plagues, natural disasters, and world wars. Extinction threats just make us more creative. Lisa had been working with her scanner throughout the conversation. I think I can establish a communication link with the Admiral's ship, but it would require access to the palace's main communication array. Queen Veltara considered this for a moment. Captain Morthak, escort the humans to Communication Central. Give them whatever access they require. General Vexitar stepped forward. My queen, this is madness. You cannot trust these creatures. General, in the past day I have learned more about trust than in my previous 3,000 years of rule. These humans could have escaped several times. They could have used our civil war to their advantage. Instead, they are trying to prevent more bloodshed. If that is not trustworthy behavior, then I do not understand the concept. The journey to Communication Central took them through corridors filled with fleeing aliens and defensive positions. The rebellion had reached the capital, and the Queen's forces were struggling to maintain order. Jake noticed that some of the rebels were carrying human-made weapons they had somehow acquired. How did they get human guns? He asked Captain Morthak. Your people have been trading with independent merchant ships for months. Apparently, human weapons are highly valued by species seeking to resist Zephyrian rule. Jake realized that Earth's first contact with aliens hadn't been his mission at all. Humans had been quietly establishing relationships across the galaxy, while the diplomats were still planning formal contact protocols. Communications Central was a vast chamber filled with equipment that looked like it belonged in a cathedral made of technology. Lisa immediately began working with the alien technicians to establish a link with Admiral Zorkan's fleet. Got it, she announced after several tense minutes. Admiral Zorkan, this is Communication Central. Her Majesty Queen Veltara wishes to speak with you. The response came through speakers that filled the chamber with sound. Queen Veltara, I am honored, but I cannot delay my mission. The human threat must be eliminated before it spreads further. The Queen stepped forward. Admiral, I am ordering you to stand down and return to base immediately. My Queen, I cannot obey that order. The humans have already infected 40% of our empire with their rebellion. Their homeworld must be destroyed as an example. Jake took a deep breath and activated the communication system. Admiral Zorkan, this is Sergeant Jake Thompson, United Earth Marine Corps. I'd like to talk with you. The silence that followed was complete. When the Admiral's voice returned, it was filled with surprise and anger. A human dares to address me directly? Your arrogance will be ended in 6 hours, creature, when your world burns. Admiral, my world has been burning for 4 billion years. We call it the sun. It's what makes life possible. Jake kept his voice calm and conversational. I understand you're afraid of us. I get that. We're new, we're different, and we don't die when you shoot us. But fear isn't a good basis for military decisions. I am not afraid of your pathetic species. Then why are you about to commit genocide against 9 billion people who have never done anything to hurt you? Another long silence. When Admiral Zorkan spoke again, his voice was quieter. Your people have caused the greatest rebellion in our empire's history. No, Admiral. Your empire caused the greatest rebellion in your empire's history. We just proved it was possible to survive your weapons. Everything else was your people's choice. Jake could hear explosions in the background of the Admiral's transmission. Even his fleet was experiencing internal problems. Admiral, Jake continued, I have a proposition for you. Instead of destroying Earth, why don't you come meet us in person? See what humans are really like. If you still think we're a threat after that, you can make your decision then. Queen Veltara's body flashed with surprise, but she didn't interrupt. You would meet with me? Face to face? Admiral Zorkan asked. That's what diplomats do, Admiral. They meet, they talk. They find solutions that don't involve killing billions of people. The communication channel was quiet for a long time. Finally, Admiral Zorkan's voice returned, thoughtful and uncertain. "Very well, human. I will delay the bombardment for 24 hours. But if you cannot convince me that your species poses no threat to the Empire..." "I understand, Admiral, but I think you'll be surprised by what you learn about humanity." As the communication ended, Jake realized what he had just committed to. In 24 hours, he would have to convince a military leader who had been trained for thousands of years to see negotiation as weakness, that peace was actually strength. Queen Veltara approached him, her crystal body cycling through colors he had never seen before. "Sergeant Thompson, you have just prevented the destruction of your..."